Okay, so welcome to Genius Dreams Education channel. Today we are going to continue our lesson on website development, and today we are going to look at how we can design or how we can accept input from a user. So today we are going to learn how we can accept input from a user, something like this, where we ask the user to input in some information. We are going to use CSS and HTML to do it. So first of all, before you start, please subscribe to my channel to get any new updates on website development. So we are going to start. So first of all, we are going to create the HTML content using the shift exclamation mark, then enter to get the HTML content. Then I'm going to change the title of the web page to, let's say, user input as the title of the web page. Then the next thing is for me to link my CSS file. So we are using the external CSS file. So the name of the CSS file is the input.css. So now we are done linking with the external CSS to the HTML file. So you start creating the HTML content, and I'm going to start with a div element. So within this div element, I'm going to create a header tag to say something more about this page. So let's say this header tag is about user input. So that's the first header tag. So user input, and let me create another header tag using the h4 header tag. Okay, so within this header tag, that's how to accept information from a user. That's how to accept information from a user. So how to accept information from a user as the next header tag. So now let's save and refresh the page to see how the page look like. So that's the input. So this is our page, that's the first header tag, and this is the fourth header tag. That's how to accept information from the user, and this is the title of the web page. So let's go back to our code editor and then start creating the forms or the input requirements we want the user to fill. So I'm going to start that with another div element. So within this div element, I'm going to create the form. So I'm going to use the form part or the form element to ask the user to input in those information. So within this form, I'm going to use the input element and then specify the input type. So the first input type I'm going to use is the text, and use the placeholder to create a space for the user to input in that particular information. So the first one should be, I'm going to ask the user for the first name. Then let me save and refresh the page. So now you can see we've been able to create a box asking the user to input in some text, and preferably is the first name of the user. That is the first name. So we are going to make a copy of this input prompt to get many inputs for the user to fill, or to get many questions or information for the user. So let's copy and then paste it. So I'm going to change this one to to last name. Then here I'm going to make this one to be something like contact. Then let me change the input type for this one to be number because of the contact. Then I'm going to make this one as, let's say, email. Then let me change the input type to email. Then let me change this one to something like password. And change this one to, so the next one password. So the rest I won't need them, so I'm going to delete them. If you want, you can add more to it. Then I'll finally create a button to tell the user when the user is done, he should click on this button to submit his or her information or the input requirement he has given. So now let's save and refresh the page to see how the page look like. So now you can see we are having the input prompt or the input requirements for the user to fill, and this is lastly our submit button. So we are going to use the CSS to provide or to style this HTML structure here. So let's go back to our code editor and then go to the CSS file. So we are going to start the styling with the body as usual. So I'm going to give it padding of 0 pixels, then margin of 0 pixels, then I'll specify the box sizing to be border box. I'll justify my content center and then align my text to center. I will also choose my font family. Then I want to also add a background image. So I'm going to specify the background image position and then specify the background image sizing. So the size of the background image to cover, and then save and refresh the page. So now you can see our background image has been added successfully and our content has been justified at the center with the text. So the next thing is to use the CSS tool to style this part. So for us to get all this content here, to style them, we are going to go to our HTML file. Then the first div element, we are going to use the class mode of or the class method for styling. So we are going to give it a class. And I'm going to call that class as user input. So I'm calling that class as user input. Let me copy and then save. Go to my CSS file. So for you to style the class, you said you bring the dot, then you copy or you paste the name of the class. Then you start with the styling. So I'm going to give I'm going to give that part a height of, let's say, 600 pixels. Then I'll give it a width of, let's say, 350 pixels. Then let me specify the margin to be auto, and let me give a background color to. So for the background color, let me give it this green light yellow color, and then let me save and refresh the page. So now you can see our page, how it looks like for now. So the next thing is for us to start the input prompt here. So Let's go back to our code editor and go to the CSS, the HTML file. So the input prompt is within this div element. So we are going to create a class for that div element. So let's call that class as form button. Then save and copy this form button to our CSS code or CSS file. Then let's paste it. You have to bring the dot because it is a class. Then let's go back to the HTML file. So within this div element, we want to style the input prompt only. So you are going to bring or call the input with the class. So then let's start styling it. So for the input prompt, I want to give it some width. So width of let's say 100 pixels. And then give it a height of let's say 40 pixels. And let me give it some margin. So margin top to be let's say 10 pixels, and then margin left to be let's say 30 pixels, and margin button to be let's say margin button to be 10 pixels. Now let me save and refresh the page again to see. So this is how the page looks like for now. So let me increase the width to about let's say 250 pixels, and let me display my content to blog. So I'm displaying the content to blog. Now let's save and refresh the page again. So now you can see how it looks like, the input prompt looks like for now. So the next thing is let's go and install our submit button too. So for the submit button, it's under this same class. So you copy this class and paste it. Then let's go back to the HTML file. This is the class and this is the button. So this is the part we want to style it. So you take that element and then attach it to the class name. Then you start your styling. So I can give that one to a width of let's say 100 pixels, and then give it a height of let's say 35 pixels. Can also give it a background color. So for the background color, let me use blue, and can also specify the font size too. So font size of 20 pixels. Then border radius, let me give it some border radius of about 5 pixels. And then let me change the cursor to pointer. And now let me save and refresh the page. So now you can see how the page looks like, but I want to give some small space, create small space between the submit button and the input prompt. So let me use the margin top. So margin top of about 15 pixels. Then save and refresh. So now you can see how it looks like. So when you bring the cursor pointer on it, it changes shape. That's where we did this part, causing that it makes it look like a link. And this is the input prompt where the user is going to fill in. So here is name, and this one is for contact. If you press a test, it won't come unless you press on input. Email is combination of numbers and letters, and the password as usual. So this is a simple way to accept input from a user or create an input prompt using HTML and CSS. So in our next lesson, we will include the JavaScript to make this input prompt functional, to make it interactive, such a case that when you fill in and you press on the submit button, it will submit our information here. So this is the end of this lesson. Please subscribe to my channel, like and share to get any new updates. Thank you. Goodbye.